Thank you. Thank you. How are you? Hope everyone's having a great day. I'm having a much better day now that we're all together. Welcome, welcome, welcome. TMG Book Series Reacts, another episode. We are here live on location, giving you guys what you want. I know this was a little bit late with the announcement, but that's a me problem, not a you problem, because your boy got too many projects going on at one time, and I got called out on it, and it's all good. Make sure you go to our website, tmgbookseries.com. There you can connect with us on the core 4 socials: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Thank you for those. What is that background? Thank you for those of you that have joined us in the last 60 days. YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram specifically, we've seen tremendous growth. I think it's the strategy around shorts. Y'all like shorts. Shorts are easier to do than a full episode, so we're going to keep doing that. How to Get Great Dating Outcomes in a Modern World, Part 1, Part 2, both available on Amazon, Apple, Google Play, Audible. The Audible version for Part 2 is out as well. What happened to it? Yeah, that means I got to fix it. But see, look at that. Accountability. Audible Part 2 is available. Y'all like that one. Y'all like that one, Part 2. I'm doing a bunch of voices on that. I was cooking now. I was going, girl. I was cooking. But what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about a couple of things, a lot of things. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you click and subscribe. Make sure you comment below and share it with one friend. We need you. I need to figure out that back. I don't like that background. But guess what? I'm going to let y'all comment. All right. Courtney Ryan, our friend of the show. We like her. Make sure you go to her website. Make sure you go to her Instagram and her YouTube, where a lot of her content is posted. She's posts specifically content for men to talk about men in dating and in relationships. We don't separate that, men and women, here at the TMG book series. Our books are for men and for women, and we encourage everyone to buy our book, but also support some of the content creators that we highlight here. Okay. Fair use, fair use. 63% of men under 30 are single. It doesn't say childless, but it does say single. I agree with that number wholeheartedly. And let me tell you why. What do we believe here? If you're just coming to the channel, if you're new to the channel, thank you for joining. This is your first time. A special thank you for you. But here, I'm an author, I'm an executive. I've worked in corporate spaces over the last 20 years. I know I don't look it. Happily married, 2 children in a nice town from a small town. Had my own issues. As I wrote the book, you will know that your dating outcomes are 100% within your control, 100% your responsibility, and no one else's. It's not your mama, your daddy. It ain't your grandma, your TT, your ex, your baby daddy, your ex-husband, who is leading you to your outcome. My Uber driver talked about that the other day, trying to blame her ex. I was like, this is on you. He's probably watching the video now. It's 100% your fault. You have to know who you are, know what you want, know what you qualify for, and with whom you qualify for, know what they want from you. Everyone has needs, identified needs. And it's up to you to understand where your needs are so you can align yourself with who in the market fits those needs and will meet those needs the best. There are 6 types of men and women that we talk about here at the TMG Book Series. For men, we'll go through that. Let's go through what you guys know. Boys, city boys. Boys, city boys. Guys are dudes, males. And then we have the versions of men. We call them modern or traditional, and then high value. That's what we call. That's what we deal with from a man standpoint. And the reason we say 6 is because boy doesn't even get counted. You shouldn't be dating a boy. I have a boy at home, and he's so immature, it's ridiculous. If he doesn't get a nap, he whines and cries. If his toy's not working, he throws the toy. Emotionally can't regulate. And some of you are dating boys. Yeah. But that doesn't explain why 63% of men under 30 are single. Let's let Miss Courtney Ryan tell us today
And today we're going to be talking about the fact that 63% of men under 30 are electively single. Let that sink in for a second. I know I've covered similar topics in the past, and this is kind of old news at this point, but I wanted to go through this with you guys and share some of my thoughts from a woman's perspective here, and even more specifically, a woman who makes content for men.
Make sure you go check her out. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to let her. There was something that was key. Jesus. Lord, y'all need Jesus. We talk about this stuff in our men's group at church. Hey. All right. 63% of men under 30 are electively single, up from 51% in 2019. Okay. Erotic alone time is a cute way of saying corn. I don't think that's it. Worst case scenario, the young American man's social disconnect will have tragic consequences. I want to talk about that. So outside of self-deletion, which is there, let me get off the screen so don't trigger that. The social anxiety. Social anxiety. And the social disconnect has trapped what I have said and what we talk about, and especially in our men's group, as we talk about bringing men. We are not building societies for single, strong men. We're building societies, and we want to do the work to build husbands and fathers. Why is that important? Because husbands and fathers raising young men and women in the household lead to better outcomes. Here at the TMG Book Series, we believe that the best outcome for society is one man married to one woman with long-term relationship, marriage, children, and legacy as the results. So if you want the best outcome, that's how you need to move for your society. So if you came to our page and you thought it was something different, you can go ahead and click off now. Make sure you click and subscribe and make sure you get the shorts. That's what we believe. We also believe that having men who are not socially disconnected, but socially and emotionally invested in their family first, their community second, their state and their government third, fourth, you have a better outcome. If men are in porn, social media apps, dating apps, and video games, and they're scrolling on social media for hours and never have to have an emotional connection with a woman, they will never feel like they need to provide and protect for her. They will never believe that they need to profess for her, priest, and lead her. They will never believe that they need to procreate children because things are so hard for them and bad for them. And a lot of the language around what is taught to men in school and social spaces right now is that men are the problem. And that's just not the case. Women want men. If you're heterosexual, you want a man. You don't want a male. You don't want a city boy. You don't want a guy and you don't want a boy. You want a man. And men come in three flavors. They come in modern, traditional, and high value. And when you have a society full of modern, traditional, and high value men and not more males and city boys than the three groups, you have a higher connection rate. Women now collect 60% of bachelor's degrees. I don't care, because to men, your degree matters not. Oh, okay. Oh, you got a bachelor's. Oh, you got a master's. Oh, you're working on your PhD. Oh, you're working on your clinical. Oh, you're doing your trials. Oh, you got to take the LSATs. So what? Congratulations, you're an adult. 60% have 60% of all total bachelor degrees. That's over half of the bachelor degrees that have been provided or are being provided. 60% are going to be women, so 6 out of 10 women. So 4 out of 10 men have a bachelor's degree. So what we gonna do for those other 2 women who don't have a man, because women believe in hypergamy? They're not going to get a man who doesn't have a degree, even though the man who doesn't have a degree doesn't have your student loan debt. Same here. Be safe. Doesn't have your student loan debt. And your student loan debt is what is driving up your anxiety. Your lifestyle choice is driving up your anxiety and your need to get promoted at work, although you don't want to do what it takes to get promoted. And we're not talking about anything physical. We're talking about staying late, talking about travel. We're talking about taking on extra projects with no additional income. We're talking about doing the extra training for the new hire. Yeah, I don't want to do none of that. I'm only going to do what I'm paid to do, and I want to make 178. What? That ain't worth 178 to the business. The businesses are going to pay the least amount of money to get the most amount of work out of you. Sorry. I'm sorry no one told you in school where 60% of you were getting bachelor's degrees. And then Pew Research found that 30% of adults are neither married, living with a partner, nor engaged in a committed relationship. Nearly half of all young adults are single. Okay? 34% of women and a whopping 63% of men. I already know what she's going to say. I already know. I already know. These women are dating the same man. You're dating the same man because I have seen the clips about, are we dating the same guy in my hometown? And the answer is yes. And you all think you have ownership over someone who's not committed to you yet. You don't. And guess what? If he's a man that's traditional, modern, high value, until he commits to you, he has his options open. Where you should be frustrated is you dealing with the city boy or you dealing with a male and not knowing the difference between that and manhood. That's a you problem, ladies. That's why 34% of women that are young adults are single and 63% of men are. And the 63% of the men that are single don't care. These are the reasons. The bachelor's degree has nothing to do with it. It probably has more to do with being in line with women that are hypergamous. They want a man at or above her level. That's something she said here. Isolation is a big one. Dating apps.
And porn. This excerpt says, young men are watching a lot of social
Porn.
media, they're watching a lot of porn, and I think they're getting a lot of their needs met without having to go out. Young men are excessively turning to porn to satiate their sexual needs, which in turn is causing long-term consequences.
So, I mean, the rub was for a millennia, in order to satiate your need, you had to go get a woman. And really, before 1956, that was the standard here in America. That was the standard. It's pretty much the standard around other parts of the globe, but that was the standard. 1956 and before, you get married, get you a woman, settle down, have 7 kids with her. You've seen the memes going around where grandmama stayed knocked up, never worked, and had her house paid for by Big Daddy, and all she wore was this moo-moo. That's because that was a different time. The mindset was to get married. You had a stigma if you had men who were 30 years old and still single. By the time a man got to 30 and was single, they were passing off every girl and young woman to him saying, please get married. That's just the reality of the culture at the time. But now we're saying that once 1956 hit, and once we had the arrival of birth control, the sexual revolution, and women working outside of the home, women no longer felt like they needed to be a part of that transaction in order to survive. Women had to do that to survive. So now you can have sex with no consequences because you have birth control. You could go to work and make your own money. And if you were at work, you were probably meeting a guy who made twice what you made, which was a better option than what you had in your hometown. That's the dating crisis. That's the villain origin story for the dating crisis. And no, do not take away from that and clip that women having the option to work and access to birth control are the reasons that dating is poor. It has nothing to do with that. Men are now living 4 or 5 generations post this decision, and it has now been passed down. So the communication from women, mothers, aunts, grandmothers to the women has been get your education, take care of yourself, and then get the man, and the man will come. That used to be what was told to men. Get your education, get your career, and then get your woman. So you have women who bought into that from 1970 on, and they looked up and they were either divorced in the 80s, divorced in the 90s, divorced in the 2000s, and they were trying to figure out, why am I not getting the outcome? I got the degree, I'm cute, I got fake hair and fake nails. Because the men don't want that. They want you to be nice to them. And the real men are looking for someone who is not a 50-50 partner. They're looking for a woman, and they're looking for a wife, and looking for someone to be the mother of their children. And stop. So once you subscribe to that and you start doing the work of what does that person, that man, traditional, modern, and high value, want from you?
To their sexual well-being. Important aspects of mating strategy have been completely removed from dating altogether with the rise of apps and social media.
Yeah.
You no longer get to experience the entirety of another human, and you're merely reduced to a set of photos and a one-sentence bio. But there are so many more things about men that make them attractive to women and make women like them. When you get to experience someone in person, there are so many more things that are added to the equation in terms of finding someone attractive than just the way that they look. But when you're only being exposed to the way someone looks and nothing else, and you can't experience that person at all, their humor, their charisma, the way they interact with people, the way they carry themselves, you're completely eliminating all of the other aspects that make men attractive to women. So it's no surprise that most men aren't getting matches or having any success on dating apps, and they're
She's spitting. She's spitting right now.
aren't dating. They aren't meeting people outside of their house or even from the convenience of their own homes on the apps. And the men who tend to do very well on dating apps are men who are extremely attractive or take really good photos, and all the women are swiping on them and not really swiping on the average looking men, because then they swipe and see the very attractive guy and they match and they automatically think, okay, well, if I can get that, I'm not going to go for anything less than that. But it's just an illusion of options.
I've talked about on previous shows and live start again next Friday. I've talked about that on a previous episode, where there's this illusion of choice. And the illusion of choice tells you that even with you as a good option today, I will forego you because of what may be down the line. Or worse, what's happening with you on the market. You're holding on to that person until something better comes along, and then you're doing an extreme disconnect of ghosting, or you're blowing up the situation. A you problem. And then you guys are just stair-stepping it. You guys keep doing it one over another. And it's ridiculous. Pick one person, make a plan, make a deal, and go execute on the plan to get the outcome of the deal. It's not hard. Well, Glenn, I really, you don't understand. I do understand. Just like the women, the men are picky. I mean, everyone has bought into this reality, this reality of social media, reality TV, social media, pandemic look that started with, quite frankly, the housewives, the Real House Mamas of Chicago and Atlanta, and the Kardashians. Everything's fake. So this appearance and this look, and then the life of luxury that seems much easier than you, young woman, having to go in and bill 1,800 hours a year, or go into and do that extra shift at the hospital. So you're like, I want that. No, you don't. Then the men have bought into the baller lifestyle that rappers and athletes portray. And not just rappers, country singers, R&B singers, pop stars. No, you don't have any choice. It used to be, and I talk about this in my book in part 1, and then I expound on it in part 2, that we went from neighborhood to city, city to region, region to state state to nation, nation to globe. We went that way. And when we went that way, we left out people in the previous era. So if we started looking for people, my parents met in the same neighborhood. My grandparents on both sides were in the same neighborhood. They brought my grandfathers came back from World War II. They went to Mississippi, their hometown, got their woman, and brought her back up north. Bought a house, worked to build the skyline, and then died after 45, 50 years of living together. They didn't go better look in the city. They didn't go better look in the region or the state or the nation. So after that, we went to city because people started dating people in other high schools. Then after high schools, they started dating people in other colleges. And then they started dating people in other states because long distance and driving became a lot easier. And then we started doing nation because cable TV hit. And we were like, ooh, what's that over in Miami? Ooh, what's that in Daytona? Ooh, what's that in LA? Then it got real bad. What's that in Tokyo? What's that in the UK? And so there was all of this choice that was being programmed on people, and they started making buying decisions off of this illusion. So I think that's what she's talking about. I want to go in because I'm at time. And I got to be more responsible than that. Women's standards. Yes, Lord.
To fully account for the relationship gap between young women and men. If single young men outnumber single young women nearly 2 to 1, then who are all of the young women dating? This says. Young women are also dating and marrying slightly older men, carrying on a tradition that stretches back more than a century. The average age at first marriage is around 30 for men, 28 for women, according to census figures. Heterosexual women are getting more choosy. Women don't want to marry down to form a long-term relationship to a man with less education and earnings than herself, said Ronald Levant, professor of psychology at the University of Akron and author of several books on masculinity. Again, I have made many videos on women's standards and preferences in men, and I think the terms preferences and standards are often used interchangeably when in fact that is not how they should be.
I will say that too. Standards, yes, and preference. I have a preference for someone 6'2". Your standard of 6'2" is completely different. Is that less than 5%? .5% of the world's population is taller than 6 feet. However, the percentage of females taller. Those numbers dramatic. So 6'5". So I don't know what to tell you there.
Used. And I think as women have this illusion of options, again, as I mentioned before, they feel as though they can be more picky with the men that they're dating. When in reality, just because you match with someone on a dating app doesn't mean that that's going to progress to the next level, or that guy that you're obsessed with isn't talking to 10 other women. All of these points I talked.
That was interesting. So Chatter Tyrone is talking to 10 women at a time that have all swiped on him because he looks good. 6 foot, 210, played football, raps, plays the drums, sings, country music, hikes. She likes that. The male looks as good as the city boy, but she feels like he's more connected. He's more available. Of course he is. He's going to defer to you. He's a male. He's supposed to defer to you. Some people don't like that language, but he's going to defer to you. And you don't want a man that defers to you. I know it to be true.
Talked about have drastically changed dating as we know it.
You guys are dating the same guy. The guy who has 10 women he's talking to, you all are talking to the same guy. And you all are getting yourself excited. And you're all making these plans in your head. And it's not going to be successful. Because you're one of 10. He has 9 others that he's entertaining. And if you show the slightest hint of standards that are unrealistic in his view, he's moving on and he's just going to ghost you. He met you online. It's not a hookup through a friend. It's not a hookup through your family. It's not someone you knew from school. You met him on your phone.
I think dating today is much different than it even was 5 years ago. And I don't really know what the future looks like for dating. And
I can tell you what the future looks like for dating. There won't be any dating. Y'all gonna be done dating. Y'all gonna be done. People are just gonna start doing. I really think the fear that I have outside of men not willing to protect or provide is going to be, we're going to create these communities. So I've seen some of these videos that started popping up on YouTube where content creators are jokingly saying, we have created a community. And it's like 6 people in it, 3 men, 3 women, or 4 men and 2 women. And they're all in a relationship because there's no fear there, because people can just always leave. And with the rising cost of rent, I understand why people are doing that. But that's a you problem. Get out there, men, build a high value skill. With that high value skill, extract profit and margin from the market to reward yourself and provide the lifestyle that you would like to have for your family. See how that's different than me going to get a job and applying blindly to 50 different jobs? And I mean, I guess I have the privilege because, I've been blessed, tremendously in my career, but it's not always been what I believe people see now. I've been underemployed. I've been right sized, downsized, left sized. I've had contracts canceled. I've had all that stuff. Working a contract and exceeding expectations, contract canceled. Company sold, company spun off. You can't control that stuff. Had businesses didn't work. Business failed. Business did very well. So things that we're talking about here are pretty much a you problem. But I want to know what you guys think. 63% of men under 30 are single. Courtney Ryan, thank you for that video. Make sure you go to her page. We'll make sure we'll link that video in the description below. But we want to know what you think. Are 63% of men under 30 single? And if they are, why? We talked about the reasons. The one reason we're not accepting here at TMG Book Series is that 60% of all bachelor degrees are being held by women. That doesn't matter. Not to men. But if we're saying that 63% of men under 30 are single, thank you for joining. I am your host. I am the author. I am the creator. TMG Book Series, How to Get Great Dating Outcomes in a Modern World, Parts 1 and 2. This has been TMG Reacts. We will talk soon.